Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be back.
As always, we're taking your suggestions and going deep on one particular piece of source material.
Really digging into the details.
Today, it's a CBS News article all about, well, a pretty weird campaign promise.
Oh, this should be good. I love a good campaign promise. Deep dive.
From former President Trump, no less. Back in 2016, while on the campaign trail, he floated this idea of creating what he called an external revenue service.
An external revenue service?
Yeah, specifically to collect tariffs. Now, you tell me, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that?
Well, the IRS already exists, so...
Yeah, that was my reaction too. What's external about the IRS? We only have one, right?
Right.
So the article actually quotes Trump directly here. He said, we're going to create something I call an external revenue service. We're going to have an external revenue service beyond the IRS. And all of this money will come pouring in.
All this money will come in.
Yeah. So obviously, Trump being Trump, it's a pretty attention-grabbing statement.
Absolutely.
But beyond just grabbing headlines, what could be the thinking behind proposing something like this?
Well, to understand that, you got to think back to the 2016 campaign. One of Trump's big talking points was trade.
Right. He talked a lot about so-called unfair trade deals.
Exactly. Blaming them for hurting American businesses and workers. So even just mentioning a new agency, dedicated to tariffs, it kind of fits into that tough on trade image he was cultivating.
So like a show of force, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Like, we're serious about getting tough on tariffs, so serious will create a whole new agency.
Okay. But like, practically speaking, creating a whole new government agency is...
a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Did he, give any specifics on how this external revenue service would actually work?
Well, not really. I mean, he didn't really get into the weeds on a lot of policy proposals on the campaign trail.
Which I guess is pretty typical for a lot of candidates.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to paint a broad picture, appeal to a wide range of voters.
But I mean, even just the idea itself raises so many questions, right? Like, how would it even work?
Right. So right now, who handles tariffs?
Customs and Border Protection.
Exactly. It's part of their whole border security thing. So are we talking about taking that away from them and giving it to this new agency?
And wouldn't that just create a whole new layer of bureaucracy?
Potentially, yeah. And more spending. New buildings, new staff, new everything.
And who's going to run this thing? I mean, are we going to have like an external revenue commissioner, an external tax code?
Right. So many unanswered questions.
And like we said, this was just a campaign promise.
Yep. Never materialized into an actual policy.
But it's still interesting to think about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just entertain the idea for a minute.
Yeah. Play devil's advocate. What could be like the potential upsides of having a separate agency for tariffs?
Okay, so theoretically, a dedicated agency, laser focused on tariffs, could be more efficient.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Streamlining the process, maybe?
Right. Potentially maximizing revenue. And this is important. It sends a message to other countries.
That we're serious about tariffs.
Yeah, like, we're not messing around here, which could be good for some American industries.
Right. The ones that have been, calling for more protection from foreign competition.
Exactly. But of course, there's the other side of the coin.
Hit me with the downsides.
Okay, well, imagine you're another country and the U.S. suddenly creates this, tariff collecting super agency.
What's that going to make them think?
Probably that we're becoming more protectionist, and that could lead to retaliation.
Tit for tat, trade wars, that kind of thing.
Exactly. They slap tariffs on our goods, we slap tariffs on theirs. Nobody wins in that scenario.
And it hurts the global economy, right? Everybody suffers.
Pretty much. And let's not forget the whole logistical nightmare of setting up a new federal agency.
Right. That's not something you just do overnight.
Not at all. It's a huge undertaking.
So yeah, Trump's idea definitely got people talking. But when you really dig into it...
it's a lot more complicated than it sounds at first.
And like we said, it never actually went anywhere.
Just one of those campaign trail what-ifs.
But it's a good reminder that even a simple campaign promise
can have some pretty complex implications.
Well, listeners, that about wraps up our deep dive into Trump's external revenue service. What do you think? Was it a stroke of genius or a total flop?
Or something in between.
Yeah, you decide. But thinking through all the potential pros and cons, that's what we're all about here.
And who knows, maybe this whole thing will spark some interesting dinner table conversations out there.
Maybe even some policy debates. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See ya!